The world will never run out of idiots to scam. It's an unfortunate truth, but one we kind of just have to live with. And while preventing these scams in the first place should be our top priority, the ones pulling off these scams have constantly found ways to evolve with the ever-changing world. It isn't just the constantly evolving shape of scams that's the issue either. It's the fact that there are scams that target each and every aspect of a person's paranoia or kindness. Virus scams that claim the only way to stop it is via this random call center in India. Phone call scams that pretend to be aware of you being in an accident or emergency to rinse you of all your money. Or those dreaded Nigerian princes. Come on mom, I just need $500 to claim my secret Nigerian fortune. Oh, and the thousands of people that pretend to be sick and stuff on Twitter to get free money. Disgusting! A tech support scammer earned a whopping $2,000 from a single scam in Best Buy gift cards. And that's only one person. Now these scams are being carried out by massive rings where the highest position workers are earning millions. Now a person in my age range probably won't be falling for one of these anytime soon, but we're not really the scammer's target audience. It's the elderly or anyone who isn't tech savvy enough to pick up on the very obvious red flags something like this would have. I personally think these scams are incredibly scummy and the people who do them are some of the most vile people on the planet. But I do understand why a person would throw away their morals in order to make some sweet, easy cash. Scamming the elderly, Jesus Christ. People took this one step further, targeting one of the easiest way to make people lose all sense of decorum: religion.
Fort Worth-based televangelist Kenneth Copeland says he's called forth a, quote, supernatural heat wave to kill the coronavirus in New York City.
That was really bad.
This is where the real money is, since people have been using religious paranoia to cause outrage for literal centuries. Going back to the 1800s, travelers came from all over the place to see the magical chicken lay eggs that apparently prophesied the end of times with the arrival of Christ to the mortal realm. Except people found out later on that she was writing these messages herself before shoving them back up the chicken's arse. She was later and parts of her skin were sold as charms to ward off evil spirits. Rest in peace. Swiftly moving on. Oranges. Why is any of this relevant to the topic of this video? Well, this is my roundabout way to explain that people like to believe in something higher than themselves, or believe that the many issues they face in the real world can be dealt with some cure-all remedy. For example, cancer. This is something many people have to face, and it's normally an incredibly scary time. So in your desperation and fear, it's not insane to assume that a person could fall prey to one of these snake oil scams. Except this one is totally real and also cures homosexuality. Happy Pride Month, everyone. Speaking of that drink, I want to give people the opportunity to watch me die. Allow me to explain. I have a Twitch now, which you should follow for bi-weekly streams, and while you're at it, subscribe to the channel to fix this. Join my silly little Discord server that is a really nice place. Follow my Twitter for really nice tweets, and finally become a channel member to fund my first Twitch stream. Yes, I'm going to attempt to make Jilly juice on stream, if this video gets 50k in under a week. Wait. Sorry, just one more thing. Picture this. You're watching a movie on an alternative website like 9anime. Now, these sites are notorious for selling off your data to other companies, but you think, surely that's just a rumor. Boom! Yes, this is my full name and address. Please send help. This video is sponsored by Aura. As someone who has managed to get a slight bit of success on this platform without showing his face, I take my privacy as seriously as I can, especially when browsing the web. So how did this happen? There have been multiple instances where my private information have just been posted online, like my phone number, private email, and real name, which is totally blood oranges, by the way. Now, I consider myself to be pretty cautious with my information. So how does it happen? Data brokers make quite a bit of money selling your information to other sites, like those scam calls I was talking about earlier. So even if you're absolutely on point with every part of online surfing, you've almost definitely fallen victim to this too, because there's a group of people out here who excel at finding your info. Seems hopeless, right? That's where Aura steps in. Aura tracks down those brokers with your information and kindly ask them to remove all of your data with the law. The right to erasure means that these companies are forced to do so if you ask to opt out, which Aura does for you, as both finding these brokers and asking to opt out could take a calculated 120 years if you don't know what you're doing. If you use my code linked in the description, you could get a whole 2 weeks entirely free. After an incredibly easy setup, Aura has a built-in VPN, ad blocker, antivirus, antivirus, identity theft insurance, and you must be thinking, this must cost a lot of money. You get all of the features mentioned for a low $12 a month, or £9.37 in the only currency that matters. So grab it before you end up on this list, because it's terrifying. Aura.com/oranges for safer searching. With that sorted, back to the video. Jillian May is a chemistry master who was born in 1973 and moved to the United States at the age of 2. She would be adopted by 2 foster parents at the time. By the time she was 15, however, she had already begun bouncing around institutes during her rebellion. My rebellion eventually led me to stay in a variety of reformatory institutions, such as a girls' center in Contra Costa country, the Children's Center in San Jose, California, and Martinez, California, and the Juvenile Hall in Martinez, where I spent 30 days after shoplifting. After leaving home at 15, attending alternate high schools, and living in many foster home and group homes, I married at 18. Apparently her adopted father worked in biotech, which could explain her future ventures into crack science. I mean alternative medicine. Now I'm sure her father would have loved if she also followed in his footsteps and became a real doctor, or pursued any real job actually. But Jillian got a new perspective watching her father earn an honest living. She believed that the pharmaceutical industry is working with doctors to keep consumers addicted to medication. Now, there are thousands of issues with this line of thinking because some drugs have saved lives and people do need them to live or actively help them function normally. For example, my ADHD medication I take so I can actually get these videos out on time. It's okay. We have people like this all the time all over the world. Insane reality deniers who believe the world is flat, but that's a discussion for another day. So far, nothing Jillian has done or said is all that interesting really. Well, that is what I would have said if she didn't create a Facebook group for this, along with 3 books. Now, I don't own this book, and I have no intention of ever buying this book because I would be funding an actual criminal. More on that later. What separates her from the rest of the crazies is that people actually bought what she was selling. Jilly juice is a health risk being sold as a cure-all drug made with water, 2 tablespoons of salt, and fermented cabbage or kale, before then being left to rot for 3 days. Sorry, I just threw up a little in my mouth. Why would someone ever drink this laxatives replacement? Well, according to our great and immortal leader Jillian, this alternative medicine can stop the effects of aging, expunge candida, cure autism and ADHD, completely cure someone of their cancer, erase a person's homosexuality, and even regenerate limbs like a reverse curse technique in Jujutsu Kaisen. Sorry, I got a little upset there. I just found it incredibly hard to keep my composure reading all of that because who could possibly believe that? Now, I didn't even know Facebook groups were a thing before doing research into this video, but currently Jillian's Facebook group has a whopping 50,000 members. I don't believe everyone in this Facebook group is taking jelly juice. I hope to God they all aren't, because that would be bad. With insane claims like the one mentioned earlier, and a massive audience of people that could potentially be taking a very lethal drug, it's not crazy to see why Jilly ended up on the Dr. Phil show. The Dr. Phil show is infamous on the internet for hosting some of the most delusional people I've ever had the displeasure of seeing. When it was at its peak, the commentary community were eating out of the palm of Dr. Phil's hands, which only further pushed the show into the internet's eye. Jillian appearing on the show made even more eyes go to her quack business, and also gave everyone a better insight into her deranged way of thinking. Well, without purchasing her book. Side note, I do very humiliating things to get a good copy of this book. I would have bought it myself, but I'm not funding a quack doctor. I am just another arm of a Hydra, which is a mythical creature based upon the microbial creature based on the microbial life in all water sources, including your immune system. Hydra grow, evolve, and change with the conditions, and when Hydra arms become damaged from environmental condition, another arm grows, acclimating itself to the new environment. Hydra are literally parasitic, even to themselves, and with their ability to adapt, can live in other creatures hosting them. in all types of conditions, making them the most immortal or adapted species on Earth. Just like me, the last 48 years of my life have taken on characteristics of a hydra, fitting from place to place, identity to identity, family to family, friend to friend, and I never felt like I could fit in. I was not meant to fit in, nor bred to fit in. Now back to Dr. Phil. I also need to be careful of copyright or I'm gonna be making no money.
You're finally going to give your body the nutrition that it's been missing. When you break down the cabbage and the water, the minerals and the salt, your body's able to absorb it immediately.
I know this is incredibly ironic to come from the dude who said he'd make this on a live stream, but I have to stress that under no circumstances that's a good thing for you. To further add on to this insanity, Jillian is suggesting this drink to babies.
It's healthy to eat lots of salt, but it has to be the right kind of salt. The critics were furious that I was recommending my juice for babies. I would give my baby my juice.
She just live confessed to being fine with her baby. Various doctors have gone into extreme detail on why Jilly juice is a bad drink. I'm convinced that if you gave Jilly juice to a baby, they would be dead. Babies can't even handle tap water, let alone 2 tablespoons of salt, which is considered a lethal dosage for adults. You might have not known this, but babies are much smaller and weaker than adults. Jillian also claims that there are no side effects while taking Jilly juice.
There are no side effects taking Jilly juice, but you'll be pooping out large spongy stuff.
I'm not a medical professional, but I did get a C in combined science, so I can say that you won't be out parasites after this drink. It's your liver and every other part of your immune system noping the hell out of your body. Jillian spends most of the time on her show using language that makes it sound like she knows what she's talking about, but when you actually pay attention to what she's saying, it's very obvious that she did not get a C in combined science like me. We also get more insight into the Jilly juice Become Immortal work plan, which is eventually working up to a gallon of this drink, and incredibly vague details on a diet. Certain raw nuts, raw seeds, oils. What does that mean? When asked whether or not people would feel sick while taking Jilly juice, she dances around the question in expert fashion. What I'm acknowledging is that we are redefining what the role of pain is in our world. They're gonna feel healing. Truly a once-in-a-generation prophet. I could spend all day overanalyzing everything she said during this episode, but if you're taking Jillian seriously after she admitted she received internet training, then you're a lost cause.
Do you
have any training?
I have enough training by looking at the internet and actually taking.
I hate this channel.
A madman actually got up on stage to actually try this thing. Jeff Holiday, a YouTuber with 100k, had gone into insane detail on why Jilly juice was bad for a person. If you follow Jillian's protocol, if you drink about a gallon of this a day, you're gonna end up drinking 4 times the recommended healthy amount of salt. Not only does it not do what she thinks it does, but it's actually harmful because it's convincing people to give themselves sodium poisoning. When asked if she felt responsible for the people getting hurt from her protocol that preys on the weak and scared, she said this.
Do you feel responsible for the people who follow your protocol and they get hurt? Do you feel responsible?
No, I don't feel responsible. You know why?
Not?
Because
why?
they had the opportunity to read my information and understand. I have it all free. There is nothing hidden in my agenda here.
There is nothing hidden in my agenda here. As much as it does pain me to say, she is actually right. Jillian is right to say that there isn't a hidden agenda or anything like that. But that's because there is literally nothing here. For all of her claims about this drink, she can't prove any of them, which isn't actually true. If you're still under the belief that no one except Jillian was ever dumb enough to take this, I'm here to burst that bubble right now. There are multiple parents who actually take Jilly juice. And even worse, they give it to their children.
Since the Jilly juice, I have not had to take any of the medication that changed my life.
I am very happy with the protocol. It's my life. When I discovered that I have psoriasis, I decided to go to many different dermatologists. I spend about $800 a month on all the food, the supplements, in the hope that it will help. But I found it helps about 45 to 50% max. Jilly juice has helped reduce 80% of my condition.
Not only am I benefiting from Jilly juice, but the rest of my family is also. My son has autism and my daughter has ADHD. Since being on Jilly juice, my son has been tested and he is in moderate autism. Prior to that, his symptoms were showing severe autism. For my daughter, her grades have gone up.
There is too much to unpack here. Number 1. feeding this stuff to your kids is incredibly dangerous and you shouldn't be doing it. And number 2, if you actually went to give your kids Jilly Juice because they're on the spectrum, I don't think you should have those kids. Sorry to get a little personal here, but as someone who has ADHD and has had family members look at it as a disability that would make it so I'd never get a job or be able to look after myself, trying to cure ADHD or autism with a drink that is probably your children is disgusting to me and completely ignores the help they're probably getting from the education system while you sit on your ass slowly killing yourself. As much as I would love nothing but to insult this lady, I can't, because just like everyone else who'd been brainwashed into drinking this crap, she is a victim too. It's how these type of scams work. They get you taking this crap, and when good things happen to you, you start believe it's because of this magical cure pill that did it. The only person who I would say is actually at fault would be Jillian herself. She's the smart talking cult leader at the head of all of this. Oranges, I hear you say. How is this a cult? Number 1, Jillian outright denies the effectiveness and helpfulness of real medicine while promoting her alternative medicine bullshit. Number 2, Jillian puts her followers on a strict diet that causes them to have violent diarrhea to prepare them for a daily intake of a lethal amount of salt, and says that it's fine for kids to take as well. And number 3, Jillian silences anyone who dares to point out her bullshit with actual scientific evidence. Any group that denies the actual help of professionals while also slowly killing their members can only be called a poop cult.
To the haters that attack me, you can either join us or you can go and live your controlled lifespan and be sick for the rest of your life.
She managed to completely brainwash these two into thinking that this drink is helpful, and she has an army of 50,000 bloody idiots. Thankfully, there are people who, after getting incredibly sick from Jilly Juice, stop their intake. Thank God. Just look at the way Jillian acts when this lady explains that she almost had a stroke after taking this.
My experience with Jilly Juice was horrible.
I talked to the doctor. They were able to definitively see the fact that there were 2 strokes. When I did finally talk to Jillian, her reaction was, "You didn't die." I said, "No, I didn't die. Am I supposed to die to prove your theory?"
Even the people who are backing Jilly Juice are talking about its negative effects without even realizing it.
Jilly Juice, and you have detox symptoms. It includes diarrhea, chills, sometimes even fever.
There's a lot of salt, there's a lot of water that is induced into your body. That will cause a bit of a headache, a little bit of a nauseating feeling. My body is a little bit swollen.
When you are waterfalling, you are purging out, with some force, the things that do not belong in your body.
And I'm like, there isn't a single piece of medicine that gives you stroke symptoms while also giving you violent diarrhea. How have you gaslit yourself into thinking that any of this is okay? God, I'm getting lightheaded now. 2 elderly women had strokes because of Jilly Juice.
Okay, you guys had positive results. I think that's absolutely fantastic, and I applaud you, and I think that's wonderful. But you need to take responsibility for the people you're hurting instead of kicking them out, telling them they're wrong, telling us we did something wrong. And it's our fault. It's not our fault. It's your fault because you lied to us.
Okay, so substantiate the lie that was told.
No joke, when I was watching this Dr. Phil episode, I almost punched my laptop screen. That is how mad I truly was here. But if we do some movie magic, I wish this story just ended with a few people getting strokes and surviving before never taking Jilly Juice again. But that just isn't the case. With cults like these, it's only a matter of time before someone actually dies from these treatments, which is what happened to Bruce Wilmot. Bruce was diagnosed with testicular cancer. The reason he went to Jilly Juice was because of how bad the chemo treatment was to him last time. A few days later, friends visited his condo to help make a huge batch of the juice. They followed the recipe described in the documents posted on Eppley's Facebook group. Add a tablespoon of pink Himalayan salt to 2 cups of water and 2 cups of cabbage or kale. Pure in a blender, pour into a glass jar, cover and leave at room temperature to ferment for 3 days. Drink a few cups nightly, up to a gallon a day. He made dozens of these. He was drinking a gallon a day. He starved himself, only drinking Jilly Juice before he inevitably died. Yes, his cancer diagnosis was probably terminal, but you'd be a fool to believe that Jilly Juice didn't speed up his death.
Jillian, I promised you me drinking a cup, so first one down.
And What did Jillian have to say about any of this? Nothing of value. Nothing she hadn't already said. If you believe it'll work. I'm not responsible. And this was the part where I cried a little bit. How can anyone be this narcissistic into thinking that any of this was okay? You don't even have to look hard enough to find stories like this all over the internet. People denying reality because they're desperate and scared, and some snake oil salesman or religious leader take that opportunity to exploit that person for money or fame. It's bad when they know they're lying to a person, but even worse when they honestly believe every word of what they're saying like Jillian does. A comment under that Dr. Phil episode actually explains my feelings perfectly. Look at the way she smiles and nods her head with pride when these poor people are describing their pain. And she responds by interrupting and gaslighting them. Disgusting woman. The fact that she's not facing any legal consequences for what she's doing is absurd. Wait, she's not in jail? There has been no serious action taken against Jillian since all of this went mainstream. Facebook apparently has incredibly relaxed rules regarding snake oil sales like this one. More than a dozen people told BuzzFeed News that they complained to Facebook about Eppley and her group, to no avail. The company has fairly lax rules for dealing with pseudoscientific groups. We remove content, disable accounts, and work with law enforcement when we believe there is a genuine risk of physical harm or direct threats to public safety, according to its community standards. Which just makes everything look a bit bleaker, doesn't it? Thankfully, the page is gone now. Kind of. She has recently moved on to her very own website, which looks terrible. And she also won't be getting arrested anytime soon since she wasn't selling Jilly juice. She simply had the recipe on her Facebook page, which means she can't be held accountable for any of this. God, I love America. Something we can actually get her down for is abusing her dog. Thankfully, she isn't feeding it Jilly juice, she's feeding it regular food like pizza. The dog is dead, by the way. That's it. I refuse to look any further down this rabbit hole in this video. This is all the information I could gather on Jillian without buying her books or making a Facebook account, because I'm not putting my real name or phone number on these sites. Jillian hasn't really been doing so good herself recently, physically and mentally. And while we already know she was absolutely nutters, it seems her constantly taking Jilly juice is actually starting to affect her own health. It's only a matter of time before she has a stroke or something much worse happen to her, before then trying to spin it in how Jilly juice is actually good and she's the reincarnation of Christ or something. Thanks to my channel members, Nico True Official, Pwep, Grizzly Bear 1996, Kinda Snowy, Clapped Seal, who makes really good videos, Alec the Shark, and Alien Hunter. If you want all of these perks, then you should also join the membership and give me money. I'm gonna fold now. I have more videos to make and grass not to touch. Until next time, have a good day. See ya, lads.